Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's No Bull Beer Reviews. Today I have another beer from Fonta, Flora Brewing Company out of Nebo, North Carolina. This beer is called Holla'Gram. It is called an iced mocha style coffee beer aged on toasted oats, Vadiri cacao nibs or cocoa nibs, and counterculture Holla'Gram coffee. I've heard I'm not really a coffee person, but I've heard Counterculture makes some really good coffee. So, um, and the big I don't know if it's the seller, but the big unique thing about this beer is it's only 2.8%, which usually they have a couple beers that are that low, but they're generally those kvassas that they make. I'm pretty positive they haven't done any like darker beers that way. And it's also interesting that it says an iced mocha style coffee beer. It doesn't say stout. But so I had this on tap there, and unless it's for whatever reason the can is different. When I pour it, you'll see that it is definitely very dark. So it's stout category, but obviously so is coffee. So it did have a really minimal beige head there, but faded pretty quickly. As you can see, I mean, it is really, really dark. I mean, it looks like black. It actually, in my opinion, it looks darker than black coffee. I'm guessing there's probably a good bit of coffee in here, and then obviously there's roasted malts that are probably even darker than black coffee. So, I mean, it is pretty dark. It's definitely opaque. You can't see through it at all. That smells so good. I wasn't not that I had any reason to believe that the cans are going to be different than the draft, but I was curious how this is going to translate. Because some of their beers, like when they try to do like those big stouts, I usually end up thinking they're better on tap than they are out of the bottle for whatever reason. And I haven't drunk it yet, but just based on the aroma, that is not the case with this. There's a ton of like really nice, nutty, roasty, cold brew coffee, and there's a lot of dark chocolate too. I mean, it's definitely not like Hershey's Hershey's syrup chocolate. It is dark chocolate, and I mean, there is a little bit of like husky dark malt to it too, where I don't think all of the coffee and roasty character, or I don't think all the roasty character is just from the coffee. I think there is some dark malt in there that's lending to it too. But it smells really really nice. And again, I'm not judging it based on it being like 2.8%. I'm judging it just based on a beer in general because it being 2.8% shouldn't mean anything. If the beer sucks, then that doesn't mean anything. I just won't want to buy it again. So, that's really good. That's really good. And it is really similar to what I remember the tap version being. It has a really really nice balance of sweetness and bitterness. And when I say sweetness, I'm not even coming close to talking about like pastry stout sweetness. Not that, but you get this upfront like possibly even under attenuated sweetness, which sounds weird for a beer that's 2.8, but I guess no, actually no. I think about it, it makes more sense for a beer that's 2.8 because if you start at that level, the yeast don't have much to do, and you could have started at a higher OG and then just killed off the yeast, and that's how you get to 2.8. But It has a nice sweetness, but it's not overly sweet at all. And the roasty character from the coffee and the dry bitterness from the dark chocolate balance it really, really well. But it definitely is like drinking coffee where it's just going to leave that lingering bitterness on your tongue. It's not an acrid bitterness that I don't like. It's like drinking any coffee. You're going to have that lingering bitterness on your tongue, which is absolutely fine. But the thing is, I was worried about this. I didn't want it to. I didn't want it to have a feeling that they basically made cold brew coffee and then added vodka to it. And obviously, I know that they wouldn't have done that and that they added vodka to it. But I didn't want it to basically be like so thin that it was basically like cold brew coffee, but then you just could tell that there was alcohol in it. That is not what this is at all. This has... I wouldn't assume that this was like a big beer by any means. But if you just said this was like a regular, like oatmeal, 5 to 6% oatmeal stout with coffee and chocolate or something like that. I don't even know that I would think it's oatmeal because this isn't like super soft or creamy. But any sort of like lower ABV stout. But I would guess that this was between 5 and 6%. That's yeah. Honestly, the body I would actually even guess that it's bigger than that. But when you get above that, there's something else behind it. I think it's just the ethanol in general that you get that I'm obviously not getting out of this because it's only 2.8% alcohol. But I will say I don't want to use the phrase mind blowing because I think that's a little hyperbolic. But this is a very, very creative and impressive beer. And they did say that this is like one of the craziest things they've ever done to get to something of this magnitude with that alcohol, strictly by making beer and not doing some weird bullshit like side project thing and then infusing it back into it. It's still just a beer that rested on coffee and chocolate. This beer is incredible, honestly. I would just love to drink this all day. I could drink it in my morning coffee at work, and I'm not suggesting that I'm going to do that ever, but that's what it feels like to me. It's absolutely delicious. This is $3 a can. I'm going to buy a crap ton of this. I'm going to buy a case of it to just drink whenever I feel like drinking something dark, but I don't want to feel the alcohol character. Super flavorful. I hope they keep doing a bunch of other experiments like this because this one really, really worked. And I would love to get in like an IPA that was at this level, but it was like super, super. Excuse me. Super, super flavorful. Like this is in the stout realm. That would just be great. So I think that's all I got on this one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.